the Prime Minister's resignation and mass protests in Serbia? Or have things gone too far, to the point where only the president leaving office would appease students who have demonstrated for the last 3 months? Well, to talk about the latest from Belgrade, we're joined by Ivana Stradner, research fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and Nikola Ćurčin, the president of the Independent Teachers Union of Serbia. And good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Right, let's start from the most obvious. So, will Vučević's decision to step down as Prime Minister satisfy protesters, or will they continue to call on President Vučić to resign, because it seems as the main demand in the last days? Nikola Ćurčin, please.
Yes, well, this is not the main demand, as these protests are not focused on any political figure. They are focused on rule of law and a fight against corruption, because there was a huge catastrophe where 15 people died on main railway station in second biggest city in Novisad on the 1st of November. And this station was renovated by the state, spending 65 million euros. And nobody has been held to account. So all the protests that now grew into practically a national movement are focused on rule of law and not on a particular political person. So the students' protests that are supported by everybody will continue until the people responsible are taken to account. So
is President Vučić responsible for the catastrophe in Novisad?
This is for the judiciary to say. So focus now is on the prosecutor, probably the main prosecutor of Serbia, Zagorka Dolovac, and all the other prosecutors that need to prosecute this situation, this corruption, this crime that happened. So this is the focus: rule of law, not elections, not any political person.
Mm-hmm. So, but let's talk about people still. Who can replace the Prime Minister? Ivana Stradner, please.
So as we have just heard that Serbian Prime Minister Miloš Vučević has resigned, and in my view that is in part actually an attempt to calm political tensions stoked by weeks of massive anti-corruption protests. So in my view this is just really another Vučić's game to try to calm down the protests and to exchange that for students to give up. But I actually don't think that that is going to resonate with students. Actually, they announced new protests, given that recently another student and another person was hit. There were numerous incidents where Serbian students were attacked, and they acknowledged that, so they are going to continue with protests. And I absolutely agree that this is truly all about the rule of law and corruption, because if you look at numerous reports coming from Freedom House, they actually even classify Serbia as a partially free and a hybrid regime. So it's truly not a democracy.
Mm-hmm. Now, President Vučić addressed the nation only a few minutes ago. He said that in next 10 days he'll make his decision what to do next. That's regarding the formation of the new government. So, is there a possibility that President Vučić will somehow give in to protest demands, to protesters' demands, and form this government with the participation of protesters as well, to make it a sort of a government of a national consensus? Nikola Ćurčin, please.
I really don't think that is possible, because it's a pretty clear messages came from many opposition parties that they don't want to participate in this. They are all supporting this rule of law. You see, as my colleague said, there is a lot of problems in previous elections in Serbia. and with OSCE also giving reports with a lot of election fraud. So nobody has the trust that without some sort of authority that everybody trusts, we can have a new election. And there is absolutely no chance that opposition and the ruling party will make a joint government. This is totally out of the question. There is also some other things that people were talking about, is that maybe President Vučić will resign, but you have to have in mind that he cannot run again for office for the third term as president. So these are a lot of things to consider. But what is going on Friday will probably accelerate things, because there is the biggest protest yet will be held on Friday this week in Novisad, where blockage of 3 Danube bridges is planned, and also the tens of thousands of students from Belgrade will walk to Novi Sad on the highway, which is around 100 kilometers in between. So there will be practically a blockade of the main nation's highway on late Thursday and Friday, and there will be a huge protest in Novi Sad on Friday. So the students have said their demands are not met, and they want responsibles to be prosecuted. After that, we will see.
Mm-hmm. You said that protests are purely apolitical, but still, students chant for.
Well, they're very political. Sorry,
students chant for the president to resign. There's no question about it. It's happening, and I'm wondering whether protests have promoted some new political leaders, because in case of President Vučić stepping down from office, a void will take place in Serbia, because you said that opposition is too weak to take over the power in Serbia. There would be no clear leader. So, what are the possible scenarios for Serbia? Ivana Stradner, please.
My concerns is that Vučić has been playing the West like a fiddle by always putting new narratives. And one of the latest efforts that he plans to do is basically to rebrand his political party by establishing a new movement, something called like a national all people's movement, something actually similar that Putin did back in 2011 to completely rebrand a party, which is basically to buy more time and to try again to buy more time from the West, to tell them that he needs more time, but he is on the horizon to bring Serbia towards the West, which is absolutely ridiculous. Because if you listen to carefully Vučić's statements, he does not want Serbia to be a member of the European Union, but he always emphasizes how Serbia should be on the European Union path, which actually just bolsters and helps his government. So that's my main concern about the latest game that Vučić has recently announced. And I think it's very important to put in the context of the timing, because the United States recently imposed sanctions on Russian gas in Serbia, which has caused a lot of problems to Vučić, and he has until mid-March to sort it out. He has a lot of pressures coming from the West, but also from Russia. He is in a very uncomfortable situation, and that's precisely why he's trying actually to divert the attention by creating all those sorts of movements, etc. I just want to emphasize one other thing, which is President Vučić is very, very good at playing all those games, and he also, on one side, he's trying actually to make sure, the protests are peaceful, etc., and they do not escalate. But on the other hand, he also does benefit from escalation on the streets of Belgrade, because he can use that geopolitically to divert, his attention. So I'm very, very concerned about the safety of students in the near future.
Lastly, President Vučić seems okay with the idea of referendum to determine his role in Serbia. Now, what would be the consequences of such a popular vote? Nikola Ćurčin, please.
Legal consequences by constitution do not exist. So this is just another political trick. I think it's important to say that although the strength in this movement that is happening does not come from the opposition parties, there is a strong viable option actually forming with the students and the academic. So academic, this is very important because it's different between the protest of '96 against Milosevic, where the academic professors were not on the side of students. Here, there is a strong unity by the university professors and their students. So this is a viable option that is growing into some, let's say, somebody who will have trust of the people to make this transitional period, if there is an election.
Well, then time will tell. Ivana Stradner, Research Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and Nikola Ćurčin, Vice President of the Independent Teachers Union of Serbia, were our guests this evening. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching, and stay with us for much more news and comments here on TVP World.